Okay, well, good morning, everybody. It's time once again for my shot, and we're going to complete our episode on the Ten Commandments today, as I promised you from last time. We had done 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the commandments, and I had told you that the first set of commandments relate to how man reacts to God. The next 6 commandments, God really loves us, you see, tell us how we should relate to one another. And the 5th commandment is to honor thy father and thy mother, and it's the only commandment given in the entire Bible with promise. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God hath given thee. And so it promises length of days. It doesn't really promise peace and harmony, but it certainly alludes to lack of deportation, because you can have a long life in the land that the Lord thy God hath given thee. Now, as we move to the ones that, like I said last week, we are most familiar with, I just like to make sure I read it to you rather than memorize it. But it starts out in verse 13 of Exodus chapter 20, and it says, "Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor," and basically thou shalt not covet. And it gives a list of things that we're not supposed to covet. And you know, it's funny because in this country, people are constantly saying, I know we had it when we had we had to come up when we had talk about the discussion about gay rights, that you can't legislate morality. Well, let me say that the only thing that we do legislate as far as laws on the books, unless it's income tax fraud, which is a law against stealing, by the way, is morality. All the laws on the American books are laws against immorality. Thou shalt not kill, by the way, means thou shalt not murder. We know that because in Exodus chapter 21, we are told exactly under what conditions the state, which was the theocratic state under Moses, the God-given state under Moses, they could execute a murderer. So it is thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not commit adultery. Man and a woman were made to live in the bonds of marriage, or to live separately, but to do so for life. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. And this is the funny one, because it's thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thy neighbor's wife, thy neighbor's manservant, his maidservant, his oxen, or his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. And everyone thinks that they can keep the 10 Commandments, which is greatly amusing, because there's none of us that have not coveted something in our life. Oh, and by the way, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor means thou shalt not lie about thy neighbor, but the commandment against lying in general is found elsewhere. But getting back to covet, you can't tell me that you didn't covet, that you've never coveted anything. In the 50s and 60s, and when I was a child growing up, it was known as keeping up with the Joneses. If the Joneses had it, you wanted it. Well, you didn't. Your parents did, or the people living around you. And they would buy it with their own money, because coveting isn't stealing. But they learned to regard their neighbor's value as a value that they should have themselves. So they coveted what their neighbor had. Some people covet so much that they will commit other crimes. We all remember the line from Silence of the Lambs that Hannibal Lecter delivers. What does one covet? One covets what one sees daily. And if you see something or someone often enough, you may desire them inappropriately, and you may covet them, and you may do them harm. Coveting is probably one of the worst of the sins. But I think by and large that covers the 10 Commandments. And you can see that they do easily apply to today. In fact, they all apply to today. Our American legal system is based on those last 6 commandments. So I think I'll let it go at that for this morning, and say and bid you a fair adieu. Thank you.